It is a hot afternoon, and you are standing in front of a great bin of watermelons at the store. $6 each, maybe 8 for the big ones. You pick one up. You have no idea what you are looking for. You knock on it because you saw someone do that once, and it makes a sound, and the sound tells you nothing because no one ever told you what you were listening for. So you choose one that looks nice, and you carry it home, and you pay your $6. And then, 2 days later, you cut it open, and your heart sinks a little. The flesh is pale pink, not deep red. It is crunchy in the wrong way, watery, almost tasteless. There is no sweetness, no perfume, none of the deep flavor a watermelon is supposed to have. You eat a few bites out of duty, and the rest sits in the refrigerator until it goes soft, and then it goes in the bin. $6 into the bin, and you tell yourself that watermelon is just a gamble. Sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you don't. Let me say it plainly. It is not a gamble. It only feels like one, because no one ever taught you how to read the fruit. A watermelon tells you everything about itself, right there on the outside, if you know how to look. The sweet ones and the flat ones are not the same on the surface. They never were. You simply were never shown the signs. Come with me, in your mind, to a market in Japan where my wife Yuki is choosing a watermelon. She does not grab a pretty one and hope. She turns it over in her hands, slowly, the way her mother taught her. She looks at one particular spot on its belly. She looks for a certain dry curl at the stem. She feels its weight against its size. She listens to one particular note when she taps it. In a few seconds, she knows. And when she cuts it open at home, it is deep red and dripping and sweet as honey, nearly every single time. Not by luck, by reading the signs that were there all along. The trouble with bad watermelon is not the watermelon. Understand that first. Somewhere, in a field, that pale, disappointing melon and a deep, sweet one grew side by side. One was picked ripe, and one was picked too soon, or chosen without care. The difference between them is written on the rind, in marks anyone can learn to read in a single afternoon. The trouble was never the fruit. The trouble was that we were sent to buy it blind. Think about what that blindness cost you every summer of your life. A watermelon is $6, $8. If 1 in 3 is a disappointment, pale, watery, flavorless, half of it thrown away, then across a summer of melons you are pouring real money into the bin. $10, $20, $30 a season, and more if you have given up on buying them whole at all, and paid triple for the little pre-cut plastic tubs instead. And worse than the money is the quiet giving up. So many people simply stop buying watermelon, or only buy the cut pieces, because they have been burned too many times by a whole one. They surrender to cheap, beautiful summer pleasure, all for the want of a few simple signs. Here in Japan, watermelon is treasured. It is a gift of high summer, given and received with care, and people know how to choose one, because a melon is too precious to leave to chance. The knowledge of how to read a watermelon is old, and it is real, and it is not magic or superstition. Every sign rests on something true about how the fruit grew and ripened. And once you learn these signs, plainly, you will never again stand helpless in front of that bin. You will walk up, read the melons like a page, and carry home the sweetest one there. My name is Kenji Takara. I am 81 years old, and I live in Okinawa, in the south of Japan. Yuki has chosen watermelons this way since she was a girl, walking the summer markets beside her mother, who chose them beside her mother before that. They did not have a chart or a label to trust. They had their eyes, their hands, their ears, and the knowledge handed down of exactly what to look for. That knowledge cost nothing, and it never once failed them badly. It is the same knowledge I want to hand to you today, so that your $6 buys sweetness and not disappointment. We have a word here for the sorrow of waste, matanai, and there are few wastes sadder in summer than a whole watermelon, grown across a long, warm season by a farmer's care, carried all the way to your table, cut open, found wanting, and thrown away half-eaten. That melon gave everything it had. It was only chosen poorly. The waste was not in the fruit, it was in the choosing, and that waste ends today. And here is the quiet truth no one thinks to tell you. There is no money in teaching you to pick the sweetest melon in the bin for yourself. There is a great deal more money in the little plastic tubs of pre-cut watermelon, sold at 2 or 3 times the price by weight, bought by people who long ago gave up on choosing a whole one. The signs on the rind are free, and they are open for anyone to read. No one hid them from you on purpose. You were simply never taught to look, and so you paid, again and again, for melons chosen blind. Quick word before I begin, and I won't bring it up again. Everything I share here, there's far more of it than fits in one video, so I gathered it all into one book, the Takara method, and right now I'm keeping it at a special price, lower than it'll normally be. The link's in the description, or point your phone at the code on screen. That's all. Now let me show you today's. By the end of this video, you will know every sign that tells a sweet, ripe watermelon from a poor one, the belly spot, the stem, the sound, the weight, the skin, the shape, and more. I will explain the plain reason behind each sign, so you understand why it works and never forget it, and then I will show you how to read them all together in a few seconds at the store, so you carry home the sweetest melon in the bin nearly every time. So let us begin. And the first thing to understand is that a ripe watermelon carries its whole story on its skin. Every sign is simply a mark of how long it lay in the field, drinking up the sun, before it was picked. Let me show you the very first place Yuki looks, the one sign that matters more than any other. First, the science plainly. What actually makes one watermelon sweet and another flat, and how can the outside of the fruit possibly tell you? Here is the thing you must understand, and everything else follows from it. A watermelon, unlike some fruit, does not grow sweeter after it is picked. An apple or a pear will ripen on the counter. A watermelon will not. Whatever sweetness it has when it leaves the field is all the sweetness it will ever have. So the whole art of choosing a watermelon is really the art of reading how ripe it was when it was picked. A melon picked at its peak, after lying long in the sun, is deep and sweet. A melon picked too early, to ship it far and sell it fast, never had the chance to become sweet, and never will. The signs on the rind are simply the marks that ripeness leaves behind. Now let me give you those signs, one at a time, each with its plain reason, so you never forget them. The first sign, and the most important of all, is the belly spot. Turn the melon over and look at the underside, the part that lay against the ground. You will find a pale patch where it rested on the soil, out of the sun. This is called the field spot, and its color tells you a great deal. If that spot is a rich, creamy, buttery yellow, sometimes almost orange, the melon lay in the field a long time, growing ripe and sweet in the sun, while its belly rested on the earth. That is what you want, a deep yellow belly. But if that spot is white, or pale greenish, or barely there at all, the melon was picked too soon, before it had time to ripen. So the first thing Yuki looks for, before anything else, is that warm yellow patch. A creamy yellow belly is the single best sign of a sweet melon. Remember it above all the rest. The second sign is the webbing, the brown, rough, net-like scarring you sometimes see on the skin. Many people think this webbing is a flaw, a blemish, and pass the melon by. Plainly, they have it backwards. That webbing is a good sign. Each of those brown lines is a scar where bees pollinated the flower that became the fruit. And the more a flower was pollinated, the sweeter and more developed the melon becomes. So a melon with heavy brown webbing, especially in patches, is often one of the sweetest in the bin. Do not fear the rough brown marks. Seek them. The third sign is the stem, or the little curled tendril near it. If the melon still has a bit of the stem, or the small curly tendril attached, where it joined the vine, look at its color. A ripe, ready melon has a dry, brown, withered stem and tendril. This means the fruit stopped drinking from the vine on its own because it was ripe and finished. It let go. But a green, fresh stem means the melon was cut from the vine while it was still growing, still unripe, taken before its time. Dry and brown, good. Green and fresh, picked too soon. The fourth sign is the weight. Pick the melon up and pick up a few others of the same size to compare. The best watermelon feels heavy for its size, heavier than you expect. This is because a ripe melon is full of water and sweet juice. That juice is its weight and its flavor both. A melon that feels light for its size has less juice inside and will be drier and less sweet. So of two melons the same size, choose the heavier one. Yuki lifts two at a time, one in each hand, and simply feels which is heavier. The heavy one, nearly always, is the better one. Let me place one quiet thing here. The way Yuki keeps a small notebook by her kitchen, where she has written, over the years, which market and which farmer's melons came out sweetest, so her choosing gets wiser each summer. Keep your own small record. Your eyes and your hands will learn these signs quickly, and a note or two will sharpen them faster still. The fifth sign is the sound, the famous knock, which so many people do and so few understand. Tap the melon firmly with your knuckles or the flat of your hand and listen. A ripe watermelon gives back a deep, low, hollow note, a full, resonant thunk, like knocking on a door, the sound of a melon full of ripe, watery flesh. An unripe or an overripe, mealy melon gives a higher, tighter, duller sound, more of a flat tink or a dead thud. It takes a little practice to hear the difference, and I will be honest with you. Of all the signs, the sound is the hardest to learn and the easiest to fool yourself about. So do not lean on it alone. Use it together with the belly spot and the weight, and over a few melons, your ear will begin to learn the deep, hollow note of a good one. The sixth sign is the skin itself and the shape. The skin of a ripe watermelon is dull, not shiny. A very glossy, shiny rind often means the melon is underripe. You want a deep, matte, dull green, with a hard rind you cannot easily scratch or dent with your thumbnail. A hard rind means the melon had time to mature. As for shape, A melon that is evenly, uniformly shaped, a smooth round or a smooth oval, without odd lumps or flat sides or dents, grew with steady water and sun, and tends to be sweeter and better throughout. A lumpy, misshapen melon may have grown unevenly, with dry spells, and can be watery or sweet only in patches. So dull skin, hard rind, even shape. Now let me show you how Yuki reads them all together, because no single sign is a promise on its own. And here I must be honest with you, plainly. Not one of these signs is a guarantee. There is no secret that is right every single time. Nature is too various for that. But together, read as a group, they turn a blind gamble into a very good bet. This is how she does it, in just a few seconds. First, she turns the melon over and finds the belly spot. If it is white or pale, she puts the melon straight back and moves on, no matter how nice the rest of it looks, for that one sign matters most. If the belly is a good creamy yellow, she keeps going. She looks for brown webbing, a good sign, and glances at the stem if there is one, wanting it dry and brown. She lifts it against a neighbor of the same size, wanting the heavier. She raps it once for that deep, hollow note. And she looks for a dull, hard, evenly shaped rind. A melon that passes most of these, a yellow belly, a heavy weight, a hollow sound, a dull, hard skin, is very likely a sweet one. That is how you stack the signs, and let them agree with one another, until you are nearly sure. Now the honest scope, what can still go wrong, and how to keep from being fooled, because I will not have you disappointed if I can help it. The first honest truth I have already given you. No sign is perfect, so never trust one alone. Always read several together, and give the most weight to the belly spot and the heft. The second, once you have chosen well, treat the melon rightly, for even a sweet one can be spoiled by careless keeping. A whole, uncut watermelon keeps best in a cool place, and does not need the cold of the refrigerator until you cut it. Some say the flavor is even a touch better kept cool, but not cold. But once you cut it open, that is another matter. And here is the one real safety point of the day. Cut watermelon must be kept cold. Wrap it and refrigerate it promptly, and do not let cut melon sit out at warm room temperature for hours, because that sweet, wet flesh is exactly the kind of place where bacteria will grow. Cut it clean, on a clean board. Keep what you do not eat in the cold, and enjoy it within a few days. And plainly, if cut melon ever smells sour, or turns slimy or fizzy, do not taste it to check. It has spoiled, and it goes to the bin. Now, Matenai, the heart of all this, that for once you have carried home a truly sweet melon, let us waste not one bit of it. And a watermelon gives far more than most people ever use. The red flesh, of course, you eat, and if there is more than you can finish fresh, do not let it soften and spoil. Cut the sweet flesh into chunks and freeze it, and it becomes a cool treat on a hot day, or drops straight into water for a gentle sweetness, or blends into a cold summer drink. Sweet melon, once chosen well, need never be thrown away. But here is what will surprise you. The rind, the pale part you throw in the bin, is food too. In many kitchens around the world, and here in Asia as well, the firm white part of the watermelon rind, just beneath the green skin, is peeled, cut up, and cooked, pickled into a crisp, sweet-sour preserve, or stir-fried like any other vegetable, or simmered until tender. It is mild and crisp and takes on whatever flavor you give it, and it costs you nothing, for you already paid for it, and were about to throw it away. Yuki's mother pickled watermelon rind every summer, and nothing of the melon but the hard outer skin ever reached the waste. Even the seeds, the real black ones, can be rinsed, dried, and roasted with a little salt into a small snack, as they are in many lands. From one well-chosen melon, the sweet flesh, fresh and frozen, the rind pickled or cooked, the seeds roasted, almost nothing left. That is motonai, standing at the summer table. Now the honest math, plainly. A whole watermelon runs $6 to $8. Choose blindly, and perhaps 1 in 3 lets you down. Pale, watery, half of it into the bin. So across a summer of a dozen melons, you might throw away $30, $40 of fruit and disappointment. Or you gave up on whole melons entirely and buy the little pre-cut tubs, which by weight cost you 2 or 3 times as much, so a summer of those is far dearer still. Now the other way. Learn these signs, which cost you nothing but one afternoon of paying attention, and nearly every melon you carry home is sweet and whole and eaten to the rind. You stop throwing melons in the bin. You stop paying triple for cut plastic tubs. You might save $20, $40, $60 across a single summer, and more than the money, you get back a cheap and beautiful pleasure you may have given up on entirely. Plainly, the knowledge is free, and it pays you every summer for the rest of your life. So here is what I ask you to do this week. The next time you pass that bin of watermelons, do not grab a pretty one and hope. Turn it over first, and find the belly spot. Pass by every melon with a white or pale belly, no matter how fine it looks. Among the ones with a deep, creamy yellow belly, lift 2 of the same size and keep the heavier. Wrap it once for that low, hollow note, and choose the one with a dull, hard, evenly shaped skin. Carry that one home. When you cut it open and find it deep red and dripping and sweet, you will know, better than all my words, everything this lesson has been about. And tell me something in the comments. When you were young, did your mother or your father or your grandmother have a way of choosing a watermelon, a knock, a look, a trick they swore by at the market? What was it? Those small everyday skills are exactly the kind of wisdom that vanishes when no one writes it down. Share yours. I read every single one. Next time, since today we learned to choose the sweetest melon, I will show you how Yuki takes its rind, the part everyone throws away, and turns it into a crisp, cool summer pickle that costs nothing at all, the same care, the same waste-nothing heart. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, remember the whole of it in one breath. Turn the melon over and read its belly for creamy yellow. Choose the one heavy for its size with a dull, hard skin and a deep, hollow knock, and the watermelon you used to gamble on becomes the sweet, deep red one you chose on purpose.